I think I'm recording right now through OBS.
Do we
We
need to
could.
worry about Nuno? Do you need to try to see if he's having just a technical glitch and it's coming back, or
Um, he can just keep your eye on Telegram or, uh, yeah, I guess Telegram is probably how Nuno would reach out, and if we can help, then we will. I guess here. I'll just send the invite link to Nuno real quick over Telegram, just in case he lost the link.
please when someone shares a link? Uh-oh. Is
Where is?
Nudimar Nuno?
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
believe
okay.
so.
Yeah, he came in the Fractally Telegram group real late. He wants the link there, it looks like. So how do I get the link?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. What a mess. Let's share the link. Yeah. Wow. Does anyone see a way to get the link for this?
Oh, let's see. I saw it in the middle of I'm just on a cell phone. It says share. Let me try that. Only the host can share this meeting. And so, and I'm
Oh
not the
my
host.
word.
What happens if he goes back to the Go Fractally Zoom link? What was that? What will that do?
Oh, we got him.
We
Oh,
got
there
him.
you go.
Woo!
Oh wow.
Hey!
Nice.
Thank you guys. Sorry about that.
All
Sorry guys.
right. No worries.
All right.
We
Sorry.
got it. I don't know how you got the link, but I'm glad you were able to join us.
I'm glad to have a
Yeah.
Diana with us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my wife. It's my it's my wife.
And Nuno, check to see if you're the host. If you're the host, you might be able to click on more in the participant list and then enable our recording of this meeting. Otherwise, I'm just hoping my OBS is working right now. But
Okay, let me just check this. Oh,
and
but
then,
you can keep going.
all right.
Do that.
I'm just gonna start because somebody needs to break the ice.
Go for it.
I'm James Mart. I am a representative of the Fractally team. I'm on the Fractally team. I work every day with Dan and Todd Fleming and Steven Watanabe on the back end software engineering. So all the smart contracts that are necessary for Fractally. The team that I'm representing is also responsible for lots of other stuff. We write blog posts and do a lot of the like managerial and facilitation work. Gregory does a lot of the stuff with Josh Seymour for these meetings, and Gregory's also on the Fractally team. And yeah, that's what I do. So I work full time for Fractally. Um, that's it. And who wants to go next? Actually, I'll just pick someone, and then everyone just pick the next person. Just makes it easier. Doug, you're next.
Okay, I'll go. So I joined the EOS Translation Foundation team. It's probably just a little more than a week old, and I'm having such a great time getting to know my teammates and been up to. I was trying to make a list of all the things that I've done this last week or the team has done, and let me just post some stuff in the chat so you can see. I probably can't get it all, but this is a start. Those three links is the first link is to a Tilda website because I'm trying to move away from WordPress, and we're trying to just we're looking at different web, just a web page to express ourselves. That was just a trial. The second one is a Notion link to organize us, and if you click on it, you can see what our tasks are and what our mission is and things like that. And then the last link is our YouTube channel, which there are 4 videos for our internal team meetings. And there should be a 5th one later today. And all of those videos I am going to try to translate in 98 different languages because I have access to a third-party software that uses the API and a machine learning translation thing. That one of the things the team also did was we met with Jesse of EOSBs, Ryan and Ramit, I can't remember, of Translate Me, to scope out a proposal for a language translation solution for the bees. And I luckily, because of my diligence in studying how subtitling works on videos, SRT files, and using this third-party program, was be able to play a crucial role in sort of helping design an interface or interim solution. I also had talked to Michael of Bywire, who is posting the Eden delegates meetings on Odyssey. I noticed the fact that Odyssey does not have the capability to handle closed captioning and does not seem to have any internationalization solution. And he said, hey, well, let's get on them because they just added this live streaming and something else, and he has a relationship with them. So I thought that was interesting. I also found out that DTube does support closed captioning. And once I get one of these videos done with all my 98 languages, I want to try to pull it into DTube, knowing it's an irrevocable action. I want to be very cautious about what I drag into there because I don't want there to be any licensing issues, legalities and or just, bad translations or things like that. So I haven't even begun trying to pull anything into DTube yet, but I have experimented that with in the past with YouTube. And I found out that at least as of a year or two ago, I think the best way to get videos in DTube, in my opinion, is to put them into YouTube first anyways. So since we're sort of all utilizing the YouTube platform because of its ease and because of the existing user base, it seems as though this is a direction that will continue with until we have alternative solutions in the decentralized world. Other than that, let's see. Oh yeah, I've done some digging into just I18N and just like Next React frameworks, and just looking at how internationalization is handled, across the spectrum of web frameworks. And one of the things I realized is a true internationalization solution does left to right and right to left. So some languages actually reverse. So if you go into YouTube and you change it to like Arabic, the screen actually mirrors and flips backwards. And so that's something that I think I've noticed that, like, for example, Medium site, which is a common site that the ENF and likes to use, doesn't really have a true internationalization solution. There's no language selector that changes their interface. It's just people posting in different language stuff into the content of the pages. And so Kylin, that was another thing that I came across. I started looking in, I just installed the new version of 2204 Pop OS, which is a Ubuntu distro variant. And I started sort of combing through the native apps in the software installer there. And there's a good one called GNOME Titles, which allows you to locally deal with subtitle translations. And there's also, I wasn't aware because of the interest of the Chinese and Korean fractals. I didn't realize there's actually a Kylin, a Chinese distribution of Ubuntu. And I was just sort of looking at like all the dev tools, all the stuff that people are doing to develop in our ecosystem. I don't understand where things are at in terms of language translation. And so all these things are on my mind, and I'm just sort of having a lot of fun just being a free spirit and just roaming around, asking questions, looking for answers, and bringing any kind of relevant information back to our team. So that's about it.
Nice. Who do you want to go next?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're asking me. How about Dwayne? We'll just go.
Perfect, thanks. Had a fun week. We have a couple repeating meetings with groups and DACs that I'm part of. This week there was some convergence. We've had a standing meeting for about 2.5 years every Thursday with our Crown group, and usually maybe about a dozen people. And one of the themes have been self-help, mental health. So it's neat in my local community. There's been a group forming for a number of months, and then just had a good friend reach out that I'll just post his link. It's nothing I'm working on, but it just shows how other groups are forming by just getting together on a Zoom meeting. And yeah, I'm going to be reaching out to the Grateful Giraffes. They have they're going to be doing an Ethereum launch. They're going to do a 1 in 10,000 avatars for some fundraising for a group. But I thought it was just so coincidental. I've been trying to find a kind of catch group instead of maybe just crown or belong to a wax group in alien worlds where they're turning a game into a DAC. So we do a lot of work with similar ideas. How do you get a group of people to participate? But yeah, I really found this Grateful Giraffe at a really nice entry point where the 10-minute meeting that you participated in was about sharing gratitude. And then 10 minutes of everyone after that, just talking about gratitude. And I thought, wow, geez, this is a perfect kind of catch-all group in a lot of the things I'm doing. There's a base of not always technical people, a lot of self-help. So I thought, hey, this might be a nice group to see what we can do with Fractally when they really have the template of meeting every week. Other than that, just keeping up my weekly obligations with these DACs and seeing which group I've challenged our crown group to form a team. But I put some internal goals on myself to make that happen. I've invited about 30 people to Fractally. 11 have joined, but the most that have actually participated in this meeting on a weekend is just 2. So yeah, my internal goals, and I've said it for the last 3 weeks, those numbers haven't changed, is that to start a new group, I first want to get my team that's going to support me into these meetings. So that's still a challenge. Some of them are just saying Saturdays. The other ones I just have to maybe come in with a different idea of just instead of our crown group every week, something like this gratitude group. So something more of a catch-all to introduce this idea of fractal governance. Yeah, that's about it. Last week I was with a power hitting group, Dan and Gregory, and a lot of awesome people. I rated last for the first time, but it was I didn't do too much the last group. The last week. Yeah, and that's about it. Thanks, guys. I'll pass it on to Jay.
Let me pass it on to Lenny because I have to be preoccupied for a second here. Okay, is that okay, Lenny?
I was going to find my mic first, Okay, no, fair enough. I'll take it from Bear. I printed out a little bit. I just pasted over. I, as usual, have my kind of apology. I love what Mike was saying because I'm one of the guys who've been saying, don't put me down the bottom because I'm flat out Monday to Friday. I simply haven't got any chance to do anything. But what I've done this week, I do the normal weekly recap, either member group on Telegram. I did actually look over the membership on our gofractally.com. We have over 200 members over there. I added them. There was no number, so I actually added them together and similar. And I posted some words that, hey, we better look at. We have 30 people here today when we set off into break-off rooms. There's 200 that actually registered on gofractally.com. So, if we recognize some people, approach them or set up a team from inside the guys who run it to actually approach them and assist them to get in. It's, again, low-hanging fruit, I would imagine. They have shown interest. What else? I set up a couple of new Telegram channels. Some of you might have seen the recaps that I'm actually now start to work on, even if I haven't got the time. It'll be another month before I get time. Recaps on different areas, and I started up 4 new groups just to lock in the names for the same. And they are Fractally EOS, Eden on EOS, and EOSI World, which for now kind of might incorporate wax, telos, etc., etc. This is just on Telegram for now because I will not really start it off in a proper fashion until I've had time to research the best options, have a good platform that might go into the future.
Good.
This can develop quite extensively if we get it right and get a few people into it that stays neutral, non-aligned. and all these things and try to have a neutral perspective of things. I'm kind of like a fly on the wall, you know, I listen to everything and whatever, and not very often speak much unless there's something wrong or some facts to be corrected or similar. What else? Yeah, I way back set up an Eden on the US LinkedIn page just to lock in my name. And I handed that over to the Eden CDS, to Michael, this last couple of days, having it organized, and then they take over the ownership of that one. Because LinkedIn is a good site for Fractally, I believe. That's about my work bit, not that much. And then I have not done any invites at all, haven't got the time. And last meeting, I ranked second, which means the last position, we were only 5. And as I mentioned, I volunteered to be at the bottom the last couple of times because I haven't done. Now I've done a little bit this time, so I'm in the fight. That's me. Oh yeah, I pass on. Are you ready, Jay?
Sure, I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you for filling in. By the way, Lenny, I noticed your response in chat in the main room to what's the mission of Fractally, and I thought you hit it. You hit it really well. That was helpful. And Doug, I think your participation in translation is potentially like, I mean, you could call it a pillar. Our ability to communicate across the globe requires languages. So I think that's a valuable team. Glad that Mark Shear has it going. I've spent quite a few hours this past week on working on what I would consider Fractally. The heart of it is I started to present my idea to we have the mind map and brainstorming sessions on Mondays. And so I participated in that. And then I would consider my participation on the Wednesday fireside chats that are done by Everything EOS is also requires a time commitment that helps to push Fractally forward because, and I think I have to say this, part of my view of getting involved in Fractally is because we've had this, $4 billion token issuance with global token holders in the EOS community. And, the goal would be to try and pull together, Dan suggested, hey, providing the inflation towards the formation of Fractally groups could kickstart it so that Fractally could gain a network effect. And it seems to me that this world is a tough place to create a name for yourself, and unless you have some type of a launch and a boost. And so I'm trying to keep my eye on that. And it's like, think of forming a nucleus of a snowball. You have to pack it tightly and get it rolling. And I think, and so my basic idea, and I posted in the Telegram chat for both Eden members and Genesis Fractally, that there is a possibility, as I see it, to combine the DNS that's now on the blockchain in a way that we can leverage that and basically become a registry for top level domains on the blockchain, which that piece of the puzzle, as I see it, could really gain momentum. And so that's why I'm pushing for that. And so if that's a legitimate participation in Fractally, which is another piece of what I've contributed this past week, I spent 15 hours just on that topic of trying to get it going.
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes left according to the schedule, I think. Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, Nuno.
Okay, hello guys. I will be fast. So
Sorry.
I've been playing around. It's my fault. I've been playing around with some ideas about more equal animals. After all, is why we are here. It's the Dan's book. So I'm trying to compile some ideas and some concepts in a very easy way. So I post on the chat some pictures or some draws. So yeah, I've been trying to convince people to participate. I'm sure I'm close to bring someone or some people to these meetings, but I'm not sure yet. I will try, but I'm getting close. I'm getting very close to get some very good people that I believe and I trust. So it's that I've been just trying to convince people to come here, which is really difficult to bring people to something really complex, and you need to have a lot of information to start with. But yeah, it's just that. So let's start to vote. There is someone to is missing. Daniel, Daniel, Dune.
Dwayne.
Wayne. Yeah.
Dwayne. Okay, so Dwayne, Jay, and Lenny. Okay, I was the last. Okay, let's start. The way I will vote, I will try to. Okay, I think the best way to vote, it's just my opinion, I might be wrong. I will give the word to James Smart, and James Smart try to vote himself, and we will try to give our vote in that. I don't know, just trying to help guys. I'll give my word now to James. Come on, James. Martin.
Cool. Okay. Are we gonna get kicked off in like any second?
We need to get consensus, or we're gonna be out of respect.
I will do whatever James does.
We need to
Okay.
Post your hive name in the chat, quick. Post your hive names in the chat, whoever has it, so we can get at least the hive names correct before we lose this.
Okay.
My tentative gut reaction right now is to put my own contributions top because I did like full-time work. I think if I'm understanding what people have done correctly, I wish we had more time to really talk about this, but my gut is saying Doug potentially next with the work he's doing on translations. Maybe if somebody else has an idea, then please jump in because it's really tough for me, but I like what Lenny is doing with the recaps, although I think Lenny is a little more Eden focused. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jay, your participation in the fireside chats is good, but unless you're talking about Fractally, I don't really consider that as advancing any of the part of the mission of Fractally. And your idea about DNS is also good, but it's, again, not necessarily related to advancing Fractally. Please don't take any of this personally. I really am just trying to talk about contributions. Dwayne, you invited 30 people to Fractally, and 11 have joined, and 2 are participating weekly. I actually think that's really impressive. So I would actually probably put you at number 2, and then I'd put Doug at number 3, and then I would put I don't know.
I'm okay with the last guys. Don't worry. I'm okay with that.
I'm in favor of what you said.
I'm in favor too.
So then I was maybe Lenny, Jay, and Nuno.
I'm okay with that.
At the bottom 3.
Yes, I mean it's okay.
Jay and Lenny and Dwayne. Do you guys have comments on that ordering?
I think we should go with that. So someone read it. It goes James, Dwayne, Dr. Wu, and then Lenny, and then Jay, and then Nudamar.
Why didn't we get kicked out? Do we have our schedule wrong? Do we actually have more time to talk about this?
I think they're missing out a little bit on the timing. We are 27 minutes in now, I think.
So maybe we have 30 minutes?
It says 25. We're supposed to be 25 as per the latest updated agenda and process.
Okay.
But then who knows? It's a little bit confusing at times.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's 45 minutes from the time this meeting started? Or so 30 minutes?
Yeah. I think
the thing is, it says breakout room 11:15 whatever CST, 25 minutes in bracket. But anyway, we have, as far as I understand, and I agree, James Smart, Doug.
I had Dwayne actually because I forgot about his inviting.
Right. Yeah, quite right. Dwayne, Doug, myself, Mike, Lenny, Jay, and Dwan.
Dwayne, how many people? I know you invited someone that came to the meeting before. Are they still coming, or do you know how many people are in attendance today that you invited?
Yeah, it really, I found to get people here, I just had to do a lot of follow up the day before. Like we kind of announced it on Thursday in our Thursday meetings. Today I've just been traveling and I reminded people Thursday, but my success of getting 3 people here was just that morning talking to everyone. So I'm looking at, if I kind of look at who's here, I'm not sure if anyone's attended. The little personal successes are though personal friends that have never wanted to deal with governance or EOS or the stuff I was doing either. So people that are in different ecosystems have actually joined and had some good feedback. So we had David Albion. If you guys remember, he gave some good feedback at the end of one of these sessions, and then another really good friend, Dustin. So it was a little bit strange that it was the people that aren't the people that are into DAX that I work with all the time. But yeah, I want to put up some pressure because I want to start a nice team, and I think if I'm successful, it's going to be some of these new bloods. You know what I mean? Everybody else is busy doing their own DAC thing. I kind of like this gratitude group. So if I'm successful, we can bring in some fresh blood that want to start a team that are not as they just don't know as much about EOS and governance.
I really love
I've had 3 people come in, and just on the side, it sounds like a game. It sounds like it might not be important, but I've been involved in Alien Worlds for a while, and they're giving up their whole ecosystem to people, so they have to deal with identity. They can't have a bot be in charge of a whole treasury for a virtual world that's holding a treasury of hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. So seeing how that fits in, if it's just a clone of Eden and bring people through Eden and give them a wax NFT, or if it's something like Go Fractally. But I guess I'm just excited. This is the year of the DAC. Anyone that's been with EOS from the beginning, this is the, we've always been too far ahead of the curve. This is the year that we're not ahead of the curve. This is DAC here. And if you look how many treasuries and people are trying to make all the mistakes that we've learned from, when we say we're, battle tested, we are. So I'm excited that we can get, this Go Fractally just out of our small little ecosystem, right? And get it out to the wider audience of whatever that is.
I was gonna say, I looked at your website. I love it. I love it.
Just to be explicit, so everyone, I don't know if you're watching the chat, but yeah, Lenny and I both just learned that we actually have another 15 minutes, so we're not in a huge rush, and we can all relax a little bit. And then, so we came up with our initial rank ordering, so it was actually a little bit helpful that we had to rush real quick. But now I think everyone really, it's good that we have an opportunity to try to put your ego aside, think about what you really think you contributed to Fractally in the last week. And if you honestly believe that you're in the wrong order and you should be higher, I think everyone here wants to know that. The goal here is that we actually get as close to an order that we all agree to, that we all really have consensus on. So,
yeah. I was going to say, last week I was last, and you can say you put your ego aside and you can do all that, and still at the end of the meeting, you're kind of like, oh,
yeah.
And I realized that the people that can stand up or have enough energy to be unbiased and say what they've given to the table. Last week I realized we just kind of let it happen, and I come to this week meeting every week. I'm not that concerned I get last, but this week I was going to make sure to promote more of what everyone's doing specifically for Fractally, because last week I noticed it was more about what people were doing for the ecosystem, and it was well deserved. It was the people that are active, but it was kind of more of a general, hey, we're doing things for Eden and this and that. So yeah, I would just like to say, Doug, the amount of work you're contributing for translation and everyone here, where this isn't a group that I've seen all of your contributions as well, whether it's posts or in other meetings. So yeah, I guess it's going to be the challenge of how do we define this success in Fractally, right? number one, Doug, I think the reminder every time of having fun and what are we actually gaining out of this personally, and being selfish with it, and making sure it's, it's more than just trying to save the world or promote a cause. We're actually getting something out of it personally. And then, the work we're contributing, and then let's hope we can, break through, whether it's through, our contacts through Eden and EOS, but really see this as, an efficient, efficiency maybe not the defining factor, but a fun way for people to come to consensus and reward that work. It's obviously, we all know it's very specific for work done. So I'm just really excited to get, groups of people that are doing work coming together and using this process. So why I mention all that, if I don't have more people next week and there's not more people joining, I don't think I deserve to be second another time through if those numbers don't start, coming up. If I can't see a team, my longer term goal is, if I can't see a team here in 4 weeks, then I need to reach out to you, the rest of you, and see, come up with another battle plan.
Well, Dwayne, it looks like you're going to be in the 5 slot today. If anyone else wants to speak to the rankings, then don't let me speak right now. But if we like the James, Dwayne, Doug, Lenny, Jay, and Nuno, then I say, let's raise our hands if we're comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with it. I would like to. Yeah. Oh well. I guess, Lenny, go ahead. What are some of your hesitations?
I say halfway only because Nuno is very active in the Fractally Telegram group and similar. So I kind of, but hey, we have a next week.
Yeah, exactly, Lenny. Exactly.
Yeah.
No worries. I'm very grateful to be here.
I want to speak to my. I want to speak to my ranking as, I guess, 4th. I really have been doing a lot, and I'm sure I'm making a lot of visibility. But in terms of what the actual criteria for ranking is, I think a lot of the focus is on growing Fractally, inviting people. It's stated in the doc. I haven't been focused on that. Why? I'm not ready and willing to invite people to this process unless I feel as though they're a good fit. I don't really know anyone right now. I don't want to coach them into it. And I just want to apply immediate value to something I can provide. And as far as I'm concerned, most of what I've done so far, although it has had visibility and has made progress in a direction, the realization of that return is not manifested. So, I really, and Dwayne, I just want to say, I had no idea what you were working on. I took one quick look at that website, and I'm so into, I've already been into the kind of things that you're into, apparently. And I have other people like Samira would be very interested. So now recognizing that value that you're bringing, that kind of energy, I want to support it and definitely put you at 5th. Right.
And just to verify that the Grateful Giraffes is a really good friend of mine at DAR. He was in EOS very early on, and he just reached out 2 weeks ago saying, hey, you have some experience in DAX, check this out. And so that's his website. I haven't interacted with him yet, except showed our kind of healing and self-help groups what they're doing, and saying, wow, what a beautiful on-ramp that doesn't exclude anybody. I think it's a very easy, before Fractally, to get someone to participate for 20 minutes in a gratitude meeting, right? So I just thought it was a nice catch-all, and I see that Adar was in EOS smart contracts, and I just see a nice a mesh, because it's exactly what my groups have been talking about. So I'll ping you. We'll have some meetings with these guys, and I think they'll be on board for this Fractally be their governance system, since they know their first point of participation is getting people on a call and sharing something, right? So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I have a question for James, if we have time.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. And I didn't take it personally. I could even, approve Nuno being the number 2 slot. If we want to go that way, that would be fine with me. But I did have a question because.
Well, what do you think is, Jay? Can you advocate for yourself to be either above or below Nuno? Can you make that distinction?
Yes. My question gets there, and I did state it. It's that Fractally could be the most beautiful application software for distributing tokens ever designed. But if we don't have a network effect capacity, and I know that Dan's all about he goes big or goes home. So I anticipate Fractally is going to be a screaming success. However, even though the white paper doesn't even mention EOS, it was implicit to, I think we would all agree, to the Genesis Fractally. Hey, you know what? We're going to take, not only we're going to try and take the lead on the Mandel, and upgrade the main chain of EOS, but we're going to get inflation if they agree to, if the block producers and the ENF say, hey, let's go for this, let's promote it, let's go with Fractally, then we'd be riding a tidal wave. Right now, we're trying to find a wave. And I don't see, so I'm in the dark here because I just spent 20 hours this past week trying to say, we probably need, if we don't have EOS inflation, we need a product that's going to be global. And here's my suggestion. And so that's what Jay Taylor did. That's my contribution. But the vision is if we don't have a global network offering, either a product or a token that has value and adds value to the global network, even if we have a cool little Fractally, here's how we can distribute tokens by having 6 people vote for it, that doesn't get us anywhere. So, but my question for you, James, is, and I know that you guys, the Fractally LLP team, is going to say, hey, we're the experts on token issuances, we know what we're doing, here's how it's going to catch fire. But right now I feel like after February, the white paper is stalled because we haven't had the information flow from James and Dan about, what, here's where we're going, guys. And so, Jay, you don't need to develop a product for Fractally because we have such a brilliant token strategy that we don't need you to try and help us create a product. So that's my question for you, James, is should we wait until April, May, June, or July to kind of get the next input of, here's the vision of, Fractally can work. Maybe it's Fractally.
Okay, I understand your question.
Well, it could be that the strategy is, me we're saying this, is that we're going to work on every chain. And so that's an option. Or have you picked a chain of choice?
Yeah, I understand your question. I'm going to be pretty disappointing to you, I think, but I can't give you really clear technical answers for many reasons. A lot of it we're even still working through. But I want to disagree real quick with the idea that there must be some global product even for this to be useful. The vision of Fractally is this. It's a super lofty goal, right? This is like something that we're passionate about at a very deep level in the Fractally team, and the mission is to improve the ability for humans to coordinate in a transparent and neutral way. And that mission is the core of what motivates the Fractally team, not how can we increase the token price. So we flip that whole concept on its head, which is we're just purely focused on how can we get neutral, transparent coordination between humans to be successful and useful for people. And then whatever happens after that, happens after that. An analogy is Bitcoin. When people thought of a way to distribute Bitcoin using the SHA-256 mining algorithm, it was like, oh, great, you can distribute a token. Like, that's not very useful. But the benefit is that you have a transparent, neutral way to distribute, to tokenize what it is that the Bitcoin network tokenizes. And I have to say it in that way. And that's kind of an analogy to what we're doing here. We come up with a new consensus mechanism, is essentially what it is. So no, do not wait. Jay, do not wait. Pursue your DNS idea at maximum speed and don't wait for anyone. Because this is a coordination platform. That's what we're building. And your ideas and application at the application level need to proceed regardless. And Fractally is completely chain agnostic. It's a political idea. It's an idea for how people can reach consensus. It's an evergreen concept that needs no blockchain, as evidenced by Eden. So that was a little more ranty than I wanted it to be. We only have a minute. Can everyone, if we even have time to do this, just quickly say the amount of hours, if you had to put a number to it, that you think you spent on Fractally in the last week? Like specifically related to Fractally. And let's just go Doug, Jay, Nuno, Dwayne, Lenny. Doug.
30, 35.
35 specifically on Fractally.
Well, playing around with language. A lot of it, what I do is research.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
So,
okay,
I spend a lot of time just reading stuff, honestly.
Cool.
And
Jay.
publishing videos.
5 direct, 35. Plus 30 indirect.
Okay, cool. Nuno?
I don't know, guys. I don't count that part. I did a lot of time to try to understand Mia, more equal animal, and drawing all those stuff, all those things to try to keep it simple. I have no idea. It's just
cool.
that I have no idea. Guys.
Okay. Dwayne?
Probably a day and a half, 12 hours.
Cool. Lenny?
Well, I would say 1 to 2 hours, Fractally specific only.
Okay. Cool. That's a maybe something that in the future I might start with, just because it's I think a reasonable proxy for a ranking is how much time would you give yourself? How much time would you rate yourself that you spent actually on the Fractally meeting? Does anyone want to change our ranking order that we have?
I'm happy with it. If Nuno's happy with it, I'm happy with it.
I'm okay, guys. All right. There is
Like
more
Dan
moons.
says,
Don't worry.
Like Dan says, it equals out over time.
It's average over time. Cool.
Yeah, remember the R on J, yeah? We had the last show was without an R, so R in the ending name for J.
Did I miss it?
I think Doug had.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, a minute left there, 50 seconds.
I'm just going to copy yours, Lenny.
Okay, hope it's right.
Yeah, right?
I have it on another note beside the Zoom.
Hey, you're the recap guy. You better have it right.
Hey, it takes time to do quality. Here is the rush.
Right, you're under pressure.
And we're posting this on a
Hype.
Steam post, right? Or Hype post, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna probably Joshua put it up again.
Yeah, Joshua usually throws it up.
Cool.
If not, I can put it very quickly here. We have 18 seconds. I put the Hive one here that he just posted before.
Great.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
There it is.
Thanks to everyone for everything you're doing. You're all extremely motivating for me. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Doing
Recording
rank
in
that
progress.
really reduces the bias of people agreeing and talking. And what we did was we just silently, quietly typed a rank into the chat, each one at a time, of all 6 participants. And so there was no bias of somebody voted, somebody nominated, who nominated, and who got nominated first, and all that other nonsense. It was just, here's my actual thoughts about this whole thing. And then we just said, hey, look, Bishop had 5 out of 6 votes for rank number 1. And the person who dissented, do you have any problem with that? And they're like, nope. All right, so Bishop's number 1. So it went really fast. And then we figured out how to do the runoffs between the other people, but it was an extremely minimal amount of bias from people speaking, or the turn of people speaking, or who spoke first or loudest, or anything like that. It was really rational and quick.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great idea, and I'll add that to my next blog post as a thought process. Thank you.
Not my idea. Charles Bishop gets credit. Unless he stole it from somebody else. I stole it from him.
he earned that first place.
Thank you, Jason.
I'd like to see at some point in the white paper, something that we're not doing yet in the consensus meetings is the peer review, where we judge the contributions, but we also judge the person, right? Sort of like a peer review, like like your annual review if you work for a company, where your peers judge you about, I like this, but I'd like to see you work on your teamwork or your whatever it may be. But it's sort of like that personal feedback, which is just, which is separate from the actual contribution. I would love to see that. I love the peer review feedback. It can be brutal, but it can be very valuable as well to make you a better contributor.
I think that's a good idea. Certainly, when we have UI and you can see the rank of each individual or a history of rank over time, plus respect that they're earned, it'll go a long way towards that review. But there's something to be said about a peer review as well.
Gregory, that's a hella good point, because if somebody comes in and rips on someone and you don't know that person's rank, you really don't know what they're saying. If somebody who's the lowest ranked person comes in and starts ripping on somebody and you didn't know that they were the lowest ranked person, it's very different than, like you coming in and saying, hey, this guy was out of line, right? I would have a lot more weight on that than somebody who just showed up this week and then decided they knew what was going on. If somebody with a really high respect in the community gives negative feedback, it's just got to have a lot more weight.
Yeah,
I think we need to be careful with how that's approached. Those types of situations can be very stressful for certain strong introverts, and the risk is you run those people off if they're not looking forward to getting a peer review every week. Sometimes those can be brutal. We need to keep that in mind.
For sure.
I hope that the peer reviews themselves kind of take care of that, because if somebody starts being a jerk in the peer reviews, one would expect that they would get peer reviewed poorly for that.
Absolutely. I would just add that's exactly what will happen is it will surface as a kind of a lower mechanism that is ultimately not sustainable for a more complex team dynamic.
Yeah, I just want to say a counterpoint to that is I think that a lot of people here actually do value that feedback, and I'm certainly one of them. I'm trying to improve just being sort of coming off as a nicer person, because I am full of love, but I'm also can be very critical. So I would definitely value feedback as to how I can, present my ideas in a way that don't make me seem like an asshole. So I think that if we adopt this idea of personal growth, it's something I've heard repeated by many members, this idea that we are the fractal, we are each iteration, and we are the final iteration. So whenever we improve ourselves, we can, go forward, better collectively. And, the feedback is about the collaboration process. So personally, the counterpoint to that is I would value that, and I think a lot of other members would as well. And I thank you for bringing it up.
And what Douglas just did there was brilliant, because he said, here's the thing that I'm working on, and this is what I'm committed to improving. So as people are giving somebody feedback, if they already knew that about you and they were like, oh yeah, he didn't quite nail the mark there, but he is actually working on that. And I remember last week he was a little further off, and this week he's a little better. So that's an improvement. And so if you're straight up about what it is that you're trying to improve, then it just makes things so much easier. I talk a lot and I try to move it forward every time I talk, but I miss. And sometimes I just need to shut up. And that's what I'm working on, is letting other people lead.
I think it's safe to say that it's coming off a mindset of being an armchair critic. I'm sure all of you have heard the term at one point or another. It's no different than fans in a stadium cheering for a specific team. We're all very good at being armchair critics and giving our opinions, emotional or otherwise. And really, when we're thinking about coming to consensus or reviewing individuals, we have to set our judgments, our prejudices, those things aside, and truly value what is it that person brings to the community? What is it that they're sharing that could raise all boats, if you will? That's the most, I think, important thing as a core principle that I think that we all can learn. And gosh, I respect each and every one of you, and I'm grateful that you guys are here.
Mike.
Yeah, the peer feedback thing is interesting because, as people said, it can be harsh, but it can be really valuable. And I think we're used to this is the internet. Like, we're using the internet, but we're so used to hiding behind a computer and trolling and having strong opinions about people we don't know and people we don't have to deal with. And man, this is a community, right? We're building people we want to work with, and we're going to have to face again. And it's such a different dynamic. I don't do much internet-y, tweety, trolly things. It's going to take a little while just to get used to, like, well, how do we interact, and how do we value each other and give feedback so that we grow and align and keep building. I don't know. I think there's going to be a ton of learning that I know I can't predict. It's exciting.
Now, one thing I would like to introduce for us to consider for the next couple of weeks is right now our version of the experiment is it's super early stages. It's where we haven't gone to a second round yet. If this was the real deal, when somebody is ranked the highest rank, especially over time, when they've accumulated a lot of respect, and when they go on to the next rounds, is that person's voice going to be stronger in the organization, in the Fractal? Are they potentially going to end up having some governance power over the Fractal? And I don't know if that's being factored in to people's decisions. It's only one factor, but it's a factor that I think is not, I don't think most of you are using it, if I'm just being honest. And I could be off in sensing that, but it's maybe something that we want to emphasize and reiterate the next couple of weeks, and each of us just kind of relook at the white paper and consider, when people accumulate a lot of respect, when they move on to further rounds, what kind of power are we giving them? And we should be considering that when we're choosing particularly the person who's going to be the highest ranked that week. Pascal?
Yeah, thanks, Joshua. I just want to mention that last week or 2 weeks before, Dan gave an example that I don't want to remind us. He said, we are like a bunch of scientists working in the lab, trying to come up with tools that can measure our work. So I think that's very important. I saw it like, if somebody among us find a tool that help him come into consensus, I think he can share it with the community to say, okay, I value this, I value this, I value this, so that others can know exactly what they can bring in the community. You know? For me, it's easy to value somebody who posts anything on Twitter, on internet, on Facebook. It's easy to value that. So, okay, this is important. And for me, it's important to go out and say, okay, let's not just be about ourselves. Let's go out and publish what we are writing on. You know, it's easy. Somebody who is writing a software, it may be difficult to value, but somebody can say, okay, I know a way to value this software, you know? So I just want to put it out, let everyone share, if possible, what is the value personally, so that when we value all this contribution, look at, okay, he value this is good, I will bring it to him, you know. That's how I see the value, the contribution of each of us. Some are easy to value. If I invited 3, 4, 5, it's easy. It's easy to value that, you know? So that's what I want to say.
I have a thought I'd like to share.
Go ahead, Jay.
So we had a discussion. We were having trouble keeping track of our time in our breakout group, and so we rushed to put our decisions together, and then we had a few minutes to talk. And there was a question about what does it mean to contribute to Fractally? And so, as many of you know, I've been trying to push an idea concerning putting, if the DNS, the whole domain naming system, is now put on the blockchain, that might be, you know, and I refer back to the Bitcoin white paper where Satoshi says, hey, you know, I think Namecoin is going to be a thing. It's a low hanging fruit, and so. And then, so I raised the question about, gosh, you know, it seems like when the Fractally white paper was launched in February, that they didn't even mention EOS. However, it was kind of implicit that, in fact, you know, the Q&A said, well, we would love to, Fractally team could even take over the Mandel rebranding of the main chain of EOS. And so, and you know, manage it and upgrade it and maintain it. And then I thought, well, gosh, you know, that could be a winning formula. And now that there's kind of a question mark there, I asked in my breakout room, and James Martz was in my group, and he says, you know, if you really think about what we're doing, it's a standalone designed methodology to distribute tokens that honor the work that people have done within a Fractally group. So it's completely chain agnostic. And James even correctly stated, you know, we don't even need a chain. You know, Eden doesn't have a chain, and Fractally doesn't need one either. It can operate just as a standalone global product. And so I don't disagree with that, but I'm speaking right now to the issue of part of what attracted me to this project is that I think the world's becoming tokenized, and I think we already have. I mean, I think EOS is a great example of a $4 billion token issuance that is having trouble getting anywhere because it doesn't have momentum to take an action step on a product. But my point for Fractally is, and so if you think about a spectrum, on one side there's a chain that can do nothing, and then at the opposite end of a spectrum is Fractally, which is a smart contract design that can work on any chain and can work anywhere, even without a chain. But I'm suggesting that for us to have a powerful effect on our world and a global tokenized communities, that we may want to rethink that, and that what I'm envisioning is that Fractally is such a beautiful product that it may work best to actually be an integral component to a mainnet, a chain. And then just my last thought is that we don't have to fear, you know, laws and regulators necessarily, because if you want to do an unregistered security of an ICO, and you say, well, that was you know, you could argue, well, is it a security? Is it unregistered? That there are ways to deal with that legally and to comply with regulations so that we could do a registered token issuance if necessary. So we don't have to be afraid of that. Oh, those 2017 has come and gone. We may dodge the bullet as far as SEC regulators, but we want to consider how can we best use Fractally to impact the global tokenized networks. And I think that we should be integrated into a beautiful chain, you know, delegated proof of stake, smart contracts, Turing complete, can do anything, but Fractally needs to be part of one because there's a synergy that could be obtained possibly only by gaining the momentum of the power of a chain that provides the Fractally utility. So I want us to stay in our bike lane, but get a synergy going. Thanks.
Yeah, Jay, I'm going to recommend that you communicate through voice and video more often than text, because you do a great job, and your text doesn't seem to get your message across nearly as well as when you communicate it in voice and on video. So just something to consider. That was one of the best times I've heard you articulate this idea you've been noodling on for a while. Very well said, Jay.
And I would just like to add to that. I totally agree. Like, I think that we are building these systems, and I heartfeltly ask the Fractally team to do all that you can to build in public. The very least, publish the pseudocode as to the tables and the actions so that we can sort of review it. I know that with the Eden code, there was some information that was added and maybe some tables had to be reflected. But what that does is it makes the source code not very readable. So if we want to develop something that other people are going to fork, we definitely need to get the data structures ironed out. And in my belief, in a fractal system, each component part should have a say in that. And I am a component part that would like to look at the pseudocode and be able to open issues and things like that. The second thing I wanted to say is I have offered the intellectual property of the name ICE. I own the name ICE on EOS blockchain. I bought it because I thought it would be a really good name for a fork of a Mandel chain, which would just be native to run fractals. The general plan I have for this is designed to increase the value of EOS stakeholders, basically the token price. And my sort of general suggestion is we have 12 airdrops, one per month, and you have to either hold like EOS in your account, or perhaps we could incentivize liquidity in a very simple way. All you have to do is read a table, determine who has what amount of tokens, and then reward them once per month for that. You don't even have to use a smart contract to do that. You can do it in JavaScript. And then at the end of that 12 months, there would be you finally fork and release that chain. So this is 12 points of incentivizing holding, leading to, drumming up all this support, drumming up, 52 meetings worth of pushing this idea forward. So that idea is out there. I've offered this property. It's a radical idea, but it's there. And if anybody wants to develop it, you're more than welcome to contact me.
Thank you, Douglas. On your first point, the Fractally white paper is our first attempt before getting to pseudocode. As you are aware, with any project, software development or otherwise, most of the work is done up front, and the last 10-15% is the actual coding. So we put out the white paper to garner feedback. We have this Genesis trial, Fractal, that we put together as a trial to gain more insight before we get to the point where some sort of pseudocode will be released. But your insight and your thoughts on that are taken to heart, and I will share with the team as well. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions or comments, I think we're going to conclude the main event for today, and we'll move on to kind of a free-flowing after party for those who want to stick around. Next week, the pre-meeting is going to have a little bit of a different format. Today was kind of a transitional freestyle, and hopefully I'll have that video uploaded very soon that you can start using as soon as this week to any new person. Basically, you'll just send them or refer them to this video to get the basic information that they need. In different types of organizations that do a good job